and welcome to the Orient Outlook podcast, sponsored by Carol Langley Florist, with myself, Stephen Baum, and as always, I'm joined by my good friend, myself, Stan Chum, the bearded legend, the one and only, the daddy-o. It's Mr. Paul Levy.
Thank you very much indeed. Hello everyone, welcome back. This is episode number 330, and we just want to, as always, take a moment to say thanks to everyone who tuned into our last show, and also our very special guests, club sponsors Philip Richello and Jim McCaffrey, as we had a very special bonus show last week. So if you haven't heard that, if you missed that one, that is still available, as are all of our back catalogue of interviews on whatever podcast platform you happen to be addicted to. But this week we've got 3 games to catch up on, so it's probably going to be a little bit of a longer one. We've got news from the last couple of weeks because we took a break last week for various reasons. So I think without further ado, let's just crack on.
We will certainly do that. So our podcast sponsors, as you all probably know by now, are Carol Langley Florist, who are based in Chingford and have been serving the borough of Waltham Forest and the surrounding area for more than the last 70 years, and their fantastic team of florists are here for all your needs, specialising in anything, whether that's a bespoke wedding event, a family funeral, birthdays, anniversaries, bar mitzvahs, anything that you would need flowers for, they can do flowers for you. And if you don't already know, they offer all those fans and staff a whopping 15% off. That could be a huge saving for you. And we saw some lovely photos actually from the shop's first Orient wedding last week. So well done to John. Great flowers on display there. So to get in touch, you can call the shop on 0208 529 4130. You can go and visit their website, which can be found at www.carollangley.co.uk, or you can go to social media, find their relevant pages on Instagram. You can find them at Carol Langley Florist. You can find them on Twitter at Carol Langley E4, or you can find the guys on Facebook at Carol Langley Florists.
Absolutely, you certainly can. So let's move on to the supporters club now. We've got just the one update for you. We're off to Carlisle on Saturday the 14th of October. Coaches are going to be leaving. This is an early one, so make sure you don't miss this if you are on there. It's leaving the supporters club at 7:30 on the 14th. Cost for this one is a very, very reasonable, almost bargain.
Yes, mate.
£44. Concessions are 41 and kids are 22. Obviously, those prices don't include your match day ticket. So you can either go into the supporters club on a match day, that's Lincoln on Tuesday, Reading next Saturday, or if you can't make it to either of those, call the travel line on 07507 539 579. The supporters club have also got their first beer festival of the season. That's happening on Thursday the 26th of October, and for that one, doors will be opening at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Beautifully done there. So before we start rounding up the fortnight that was, we've got some AOB over the last 2 weeks. First up, really sad piece of news this one. We're very sad and upset to hear about the passing of lifelong O's fan and West Stand season ticket holder Howard Turk, who passed away last week. Devoted O's fan, and we send our condolences and love out to his family and friends. Howard was a big part of my match day journey, I'd say, to the ground. I used to get on the train with him and his son and his grandson to the game, and he always loved going to the O's. His last appearance at Brisbane Road was the championship winning game, so what a final game.
Amazing
to have. But you just realise kind of how important Leyton Orient is to people. Like at his funeral, Tijuana taxi, when they were doing like the photo montage, like the last couple of photos were him with in the dugout on the final game of the season, and you just think, football and this club is just a massive, massive part of people's life. It's what people associate with people.
Yeah, absolutely. On a slightly more cheerier note, we're delighted to say that's right. It's a fact of life. Life and death is just so sad losing people. But we are delighted that a new member of the Orient family, well, actually it's probably on the Spurs family because I think the dad's a Spurs fan. But fortunately for us, the grandparents are devout Orient fans, and we are delighted to say that friends of ours, Janine and Dennis Adelman, welcomed, their daughter welcomed a new baby girl into the world. Lottie Myla Richards joined the world earlier this week as well. So congratulations to you all. We hope mum and baby are doing exceptionally well.
Janine and Dennis, you know what you have to do with little Lottie.
Make sure that Josh doesn't get her a Spurs kit first.
And finally, in our AOB roundup, O's fan Paul Staines is doing a charity walk throughout the entire month of October, where he is walking 5k every day for this month for Prostate United. So if you're interested, you can sponsor Paul. You can find the details of how to donate via his Just Giving page, which can be found on Twitter. And his Twitter page is at paulstains86. He tweeted us today. So if you want to go back on our timeline, you'll be able to find his tweet. But good luck to Paul. 5k for every day for the month of October is no mean feat. Good luck, matey.
And by the way, we know Twitter is now called X, but as an act of defiance, we are still calling it Twitter because that's really what everybody knows it as. So let's come on to the fortnight that was then. We'll start Monday the 18th of September. Happy Monday. Quiet day, nothing to report. So we're going to move on to the main event of Tahué Tuesday the 19th.
We certainly are. That was Fulham under-21s in the EFL Trophy. So we're going to cover this one briefly, as we always do. Team was announced with Howes in goal. I can't speak tonight. In goal with Hunt, Turns, Happy and Sweeney at the back, with Brown, Galbraith, Sanders, Obiero, Archibald and Drynan making up the 11, with Byrne, Beckles, El Mazzuni, Moncur, Graham, Pegram and Pigott on the bench.
Yeah, wholesale changes for Richie Wellens. He made 10 changes to the side that faced Peterborough last weekend, obviously giving players that need that opportunity in that game time that opportunity. I expected quite a few changes, maybe not as many as 10, but these players in there do need minutes in their legs. It's a strong enough squad to do a job and get the job done, in my opinion. Pretty surprised that maybe Pegram didn't start, but I understand that Drinnan needs the match time. But yeah, I thought that Pegram might have started. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, lots of changes there. You mentioned 10, but when you look at the names on that team sheet, you guys, probably one you'd expect to be an under-21s team or under-23s team, whatever we're calling Premier League youngsters these days. A few tweets that came in before kick-off. Theo the Wyvern tweeted us, said masses of league experience in that team, loads looking to be in Wellens' plans for Saturday, so should have enough to win.
Yeah, James O'Hagan said plenty of faces who'll want to make a point. Nice to see a homegrown captain in Happy. Also expecting Howes to try and stake a claim after the Blackpool performance he gave. Come on, Drinnan hat-trick.
Yeah, James living in an absolute dream world, mate. So, like we said, we're going to cover this one briefly. The Yost took the lead as early as the 9th minute as Ethan Galbraith pressed the Fulham defence into a mistake. He won the ball, played it to Aaron Drynan, who played it back into him. With a faint touch, he sent the keeper, Borto, down on the floor along with the defender, passed the ball coolly into the net to make it 1-0 as he scored his first goal for the O's. Nicely taken.
Nice goal, that. Yeah, real good composure there. Just shy of the half-hour mark, Aaron Drinnan went close after Zek Obiero fed him through with a beautiful pass. His touch forced him slightly too wide, though, as he tried to round the keeper, and his shot hit the bottom of the near post.
Should have scored that.
Yeah.
You look back on that and Drynan would be very disappointed. If he scores that, I think we're talking about 4-0, 5-0 potentially. But however, he didn't score that one. So we tried to get a few more chances throughout the half. In the 45th minute, 3 added minutes of time went up on the board. Yeah,
and in the first minute, we tried playing out from the back. Poor pass across the 18-yard box from Max Sanders was easily intercepted by Sekularak. And after turning his man, he took a shot. And despite Howes getting a hand to it, unfortunately, he couldn't keep it out as it became 1-1. And that's how the teams went in at half-time.
Very poor goal to concede there. Sanders' pass wasn't the best, and Howes maybe might have felt he might be able to get a stronger hand to the shot. So went in at 1-1. Attendance announced at 718 for this game. So at half-time, Joe Pigott came on. He replaced Aaron Drynan. So we'll fast forward to the 53rd minute. Jordan Brown picked up a booking, and 2 minutes later, Theo Archibald was replaced by Charlie Pegram in the O's second substitution. Yeah, just shy of the hour mark now. Fulham took the lead through O'Neill as his curling strike managed to beat Sam Howes and went into the far corner of the net to make it 2-1 to Fulham. Good finish there. Yeah, well played O'Neill there. So Rishi took the opportunity at this point to make our third change. Idris Mazzuni came on and he replaced Zek Obiero. Dan Happy headed over from a corner in the 64th minute, and a minute later George Moncur came on to replace Jordan Brown. Jordan Graham also replaced Jaden Sweeney. Lots of first teamers coming on at this point. Sending the big guns out. Well, you look at the names who've come on: Pigott, El Mazzuni, Jordan Graham, Moncur, like all big boys here. So 6 minutes of time were added on, and in the 91st minute, Joe Pigott hit the post after some good work from Jordan Graham on the right, and in the second minute of added time, George Moncur thought he'd equalised, but the flag was up for offside. Pigott should have scored that one. Again, looking back on that, Pigott will be disappointed he hasn't scored there. Yeah, but the equalising goal did come. It came in the final minute as Sam Howes' long pass was flicked on by Joe Pigott, who found Idris El Mazzuni in the box. He held off his man and coolly finished to make it 2-2 to send the game into penalties. Yeah, he absolutely did. So these games, you can't draw a group game and they go straight to penalties, as the bearded legend had said. So Moncur, Graham and Pigott all scored their penalties as the penalty score was 3-3. Then Fulham set up for their fourth, which hit the post. Ethan Galbraith stepped up and made it 4-3. Fulham scored their fourth, which meant Idris El Mazzuni had the responsibility and the opportunity to win it for the O's with the last spot kick of the game. He stepped up, sent the keeper the wrong way, as the O's won the game 5-4 on penalties.
Yeah, Richie Wellens' interview is on the club's website and also on YouTube, so you can go there. But the league table for this, if anybody is interested, Gillingham are top, but they've only played one. They've got 3 points. We're second. We've played two with 2 points. Portsmouth are third, having played one with 2 points. And Fulham under 21s are at the bottom, having played two with only garnering just the 1 point.
So it's a wide open table. Obviously, we've got one game left to play against Portsmouth that I think is in November. I've got no idea how seriously Portsmouth are taking this competition, although they're doing very, very well in the league. So we'll see what happens with that one. So, Biddy Legende, your views very quickly on Fulham?
Yeah, we made hard work for ourselves, didn't we, with that one? I mean, the fact that we had to make several changes, bringing in the big guns, first team players, isn't a good thing in this competition. I think that they'd played Portsmouth in the first game. They must have done because we played Gillingham. And I think that tie went to penalties as well. Yep. So these kids are no mugs either. They're obviously good quality there. Fulham, I thought, were good in spells, but we shouldn't be scraping a draw and winning on penalties, when you've got the quality that we've got in our squad, arguably. Obviously, glad we won. Important to do well in all competitions that we're involved in, and I'd like to see us do well at something, because, the FA Cup we don't tend to do so well in.
True.
And we're already out the Carabao, so, we've got to have something to look forward to.
Yeah, for me, not really much to add. I thought we'd win that one when I saw the team announced, so a win's a win, but we ran it very close to the wire. Had that game had a few less minutes of injury time, we were talking about a defeat and we'd be out of the competition. Sounds like we overplayed at points, which you clearly saw when we conceded the first goal, but like you said, win is a win. Got a chance to get out of the group, see what happens against Portsmouth. Again, the further you go in the competition, the more exciting it becomes as Wembley edges closer and closer. So yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed, get a decent result in the next game. There was actually quite a few tweets about this one. We're only going to mention a few though that we got in. So the occasional one said, I know we all say it, but it doesn't mean anything, but my heart was going 10 to the dozen in that penalty shootout.
Good penalties we took.
Very good, actually.
Good. Like, for the first time in a while, we've got really strong, solid penalty takers. So
good point.
That's a real positive that's come from this. Steve Chaplin 4 said, too sloppy after a decent enough first 45. Winning the penalty shootout still keeps qualification open.
Alan Reeves too said, it's hard to care, to be honest. Not a single club takes this competition seriously until they get to the semi-final. I suppose it is game time for some fringe players, but that's about it.
But that's not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
Not a bad thing. Glenn Gatty said, it might not be the most important competition, but can we focus on broader positive games for squad players and a bit of grit and fight to come back from being a goal down?
Yeah, my final word on Fulham went to Chosen for one, who said, regardless of whether this competition matters or not, what does very much matter is seeing us be able to fight it out for a gritty win. The late equaliser for El Mazouni and turning around to win on penalties shows a lot of guts in this squad.
Absolutely. Prediction league for this one. Congrats to Ozfan Basing and Charlie_Paul, who both correctly predicted 2-2. So you guys both get 3 points, and we'll do a top of the prediction league table roundup towards the end of the show.
We certainly will. So Wednesday the 20th of September, your South Stand chums were in action on this day as we interview Jim McCaffrey from the men's team shirt sponsors He's Still Secured, and Philip Buccello from the men's team sleeve sponsors Sterling Technology, as they told us all about how they got into the O's, their love of Orient, their companies, and more in a special interview episode that Paul alluded to in his intro. So like we said, if you haven't listened to that one or one around last week, go back and listen to that. It's 42 minutes of a great interview, some great insight with two men who love Orient and are fully focused on trying to grow, I guess, Orient as a brand and to grow their brands and their love for the game. It was a great interview. Really enjoyed that one. Yeah,
really, and from very different journeys to come into Orient as well. So that was really interesting. Quiet rest of the week, so let's move on to Saturday the 23rd of September.
Okay, the Young O's were in action in the morning. They had Cambridge United at home, and after a goalless first half, neither team could find the breakthrough in the second half as the game finished 0-0.
Well played to the Young O's there. The main event of Saturday the 23rd was Shrewsbury Town at home before the game. As always on the Thursday night, around 6 o'clock we start our poll to find out how you think we're going to get on in this game. And after 332 votes, it closed with 7% thinking we were going to lose, 12 went for the draw, but an overwhelming 81% went for the win.
Yeah, as always, thanks for everyone's votes. I mean, quite an overwhelming majority there, 81%. Last time we saw an overwhelming majority like that was Stevenage at home, and we all know how that one finished, so I always try and take those results with a pinch of salt. So the team was announced this one at 2 o'clock, with Bryn in goal, at the back James, Beckles, Cooper, with Graham, Almazouni, Pratley, Moncur and Archibald making up the midfield, with Saturio and Piggott up top. And on the bench we had Howes, Happy, Hunt, Brown, Galbraith, Drinan and Shaq forward, meaning that Richie named an unchanged side from the team that drew Peterborough in the league on the previous Saturday. So, bit of Legenda, your views on the team against Shrewsbury?
Yeah, you know me, I like an unchanged side.
Yes.
A settled squad. They get to know how each other play, they get to know each other really, really well. The only caveat for me is I'd rather see Galbraith in for Moncur. I think he does a bit more. But again, as I probably mentioned in the previous episode, maybe Moncur's doing things that we're not noticing so much. But what I see from Galbraith is more impactful. So maybe I'm just being... I try to see both sides. I try not... Moncur doesn't want to come here and not do well. No player wants to come to a club and not do well. It's not in their interest and it's not in the club's interest. But I just see more from Galbraith than I do from Moncur, and I prefer to see Galbraith in that position.
Yeah, I think given current form so far this season, agree with you on that one. And it's also saying something about the strength of the squad when Sweeney, Turns and Sanders can't even get in it. So we were lucky enough to be hospitality that day, went into the dressing room and just saw those three players who weren't in the squad. They seemed, fit, happy, ready to go, or understanding of their situation. But it shows you, Ed Turns pivotal last season, as was Sweeney, absolutely pivotal to the starting 11, especially towards the second half of the season, and can't even get in the squad. And Sanders obviously came with a big reputation from Lincoln City, and obviously been injured, hasn't been able to get back into the team. So it shows you, I guess, the strength of a fully fit squad that Richie has. So, and
you can see, we could see from how he was engaging that he's really desperate to get into the squad and to cement himself in the first team. And he wants to be a part of it and he wants to contribute. So they're three really impressive young guys there, actually. It was a real privilege to be able to chat to them. So the match kicked off with a league place and 1 point being the difference between the two sides, and barely a minute was on the clock. Mata of Shrewsbury Town had a chance from a Shrewsbury corner. Thankfully, Solbrin made the save.
2 minutes later, hearts were in mouths as Mata was played through. He got behind Omar Beckles and was in 1v1 against Solbrin. Although Mata's shot was on target, Bryn stood tall, pulled off a great save to get the ball over the bar as he kept the scoreline at 0-0.
That is a huge let-off for us, and that is an outstanding save from Solbrin. That's absolutely fantastic. Beckles was the covering defender. I think he switched off for a second there. And thankfully we've got a solid enough keeper that managed to get us out of that. Otherwise that would have been chaos from the second minute.
Would have been a very disappointing start, and had Shrewsbury taken the lead, they would have
gone on to win that comfortably,
or made it very difficult to get into any style of football for Orient. But I think, what's his name, their manager said before the game, like they're playing all right, they're just not putting their chances away. So big save there from Solbrin. Really good. Brandon Cooper fired wide in the 10th minute, and Shrewsbury counter-attacked us 6 minutes later, but for some excellent defensive work from Free Archibald, Idris Almazouni and Tom James, as they worked hard to prevent a chance from escalating.
They did. We took the lead though in the 19th minute. A nice build-up play, good passing and movement. Saw Idris Almazouni's forward pass take a deflection, which fell. Well, he just about made that pass, which fell kindly into the path of Royal Saturio, who was in behind the Shrewsbury defence, and he blasted the ball past Morosi to put the O's 1-0 up.
Good finish, very lucky, I'd say, that he just manages to get the ball. Rowan makes no mistake, but to be fair, I know he's missed a fair good few, but that's a chance that you'd expect him to put away. Very close, quite central.
6-yard box, that's his bread and butter.
Should be anyone's bread and butter, but good to see after. I think it's fair to say Shrewsbury had the better chances before that.
Yeah, probably slightly against the run of play, I think one might argue as well.
Good shout. Shrewsbury almost equalised in the 21st minute after Udo beat Beckles. His shot went just wide off the far post. So they still look to threat at us coming forward.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah, absolutely. 40 minutes now on the clock. We'll skip forward to this bit. El Mazouni did well to deny Shrewsbury a one-on-one with Bryn, and in the 43rd minute, Flanagan shot wide from distance.
Yeah, I think at this point you had made a note, so fair to say Shrewsbury doing their best to get the score level before half-time, creating several good opportunities, but weren't clinical enough, and we've seen that more than enough times from an Orient forward line or back line.
Absolutely. Joe Piggott strike in the 44th minute, so just before half-time, fired against the arm of Feeney in the air, and despite some penalty appeals, the referee was having absolutely none of it.
Absolutely none of it. So 3 minutes of time were played. Additionally, as the ref brought the half to a close with the O's leading 1-0. Attendance announced just over 8,001, with 618 away fans making the journey. They were quite loud, actually. I don't know if it's because we was in a different position, so maybe you can hear them slightly differently.
But I think they were all compacted
Yeah,
together.
they made a decent amount of noise, actually, for just over 600 of them.
I totally agree with you. We had a few tweets that came in at half-time. iSpurso said, "Am I the only one who's worried about the minimal numbers we're keeping at the back from attacking set pieces? Just a sign of the fact there's no fear about their ability to counter. New set pieces coach having an influence."
Oh, we'll come on to the new set pieces coach a bit later. Running ref with GC said, "How are we winning this game? We could have been 3 down before our goal against the run of play. We're struggling against their aggressive front players, and we could barely string 2 passes together in the first 20 minutes. Hope we can get a result and improve in the second half."
Yeah, there were no changes for the O's at half-time, and in the 48th minute, Darren Pratley was booked, and 4 minutes later, Brandon Cooper also picked up a booking.
Yeah, picking up the bookings there. 55th minute in the first sub for the O's as Darren Pratley was replaced by Jordan Brown, and a double sub followed for the O's 6 minutes later as George Moncur and Joe Pigott were replaced by Aaron Drinan, Shaq Ford.
Yeah, 2 minutes later, a superb counter-attack saw Royal Sotirio collect the ball. He found Aaron Drinan, who drove towards goal. He played it to Shaq Ford, whose touch found Ruel, but the ball took a deflection and ended up flying over the bar.
That was a nice little move there from the O's, if I remember that one rightly. 72nd minute, Shaq Ford was booked after he and Theo Archibald stole the ball off Dunkley and through trouble. Shaq got a booking.
Yeah, a minute later, big chance for Shrewsbury as Bowman's header was held well by Solbrin.
Big chance, he was unmarked, sprint down. I guess Bruin gets his angle as well, makes it look probably a lot easier because of his positioning, but Bowman will be disappointed that he hasn't worked the keeper harder. Tom James was booked for time wasting as early as the 75th minute.
2 minutes later, though, final subs for the O's, Theo Archibald and Royal Sotirio were replaced by Dan Happy and Ethan Galbraith.
Decent subs to bring on there. Like, all of the subs are decent quality, and they seem like the strength of the squad now.
Really
past the injuries. So let's skip forward to the 83rd minute, and Flanagan was unmarked at the back post for Shrewsbury, but he couldn't guide his header past Solbrin, who made a great reaction save as he clawed the ball out for a corner. They were starting to get closer. I didn't feel that nervous, but they were getting closer.
Yeah. This had a draw written all over it, and because we were sat behind the away dugout for our seats this time rather than the south stand, you remember Matt Taylor, someone was a few rows behind us, it must have been his mate, and he was like, how the hell are we losing this game?
That's,
like,
that's the clean version of what he said to me.
That's the family friendly podcast version of what he said. But he's right, like, they created plenty of good chances. They probably should have won it, but they didn't. They weren't clinical enough.
They'll play worse than that and win, and we'll play better than that
and lose or draw. Yeah, not get something. But that's football, and that was yesterday. In fairness, 86 minutes now. Drinan did well to bring the ball down. He crossed the ball towards Ford, whose first-time effort went well over the bar.
Yeah, the game was opening up now at this point. 6 minutes of time added on, and with no further talking points, the referee brought the game to a close, with the O's edging out a tight 1-0 win to leave Brisbane Row rocking all over the world and make it 7 points won from the last 3 league games for the mighty O's.
Yeah, Richie Wellens' interview is obviously now on the club's website and YouTube, but he did say there's been times this year when we've been really good and didn't get anything, and today we had to scrap and we got the win, which I think is a great summary.
It is a great summary, well done there. Wellens, the full interview is on the club's YouTube channel. So after that game, league table, we'd played 9, won 3, drawn 2, 4 defeats, a goal difference of -5, and on 11 points. So, Billy Legendre, your views on Shrewsbury at home?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's just about getting 3 points. However, that needs to happen. It doesn't have to be pretty. It was a bit nail-biting at times, I thought, but we won, and that fundamentally is all that matters.
Yep.
You know, you take wins like that all the time over games that you play really well in and end up losing. You take games like that all day long. I thought Solbrin made some absolutely outstanding saves. You can see why he's so highly thought of at his parent club and why he did so well last season. He stepped up and he's doing equally well here. I thought Idris battled really hard in midfield. Ruel at times was brilliant. Even went on a run and nutmegged their man right in front of us as well. Still not seeing what Moncur gives to the side. He looked out of breath at times, like he was absolutely blowing. He did a lot more chasing, to be fair. I think that was what was asked of him, was closing down the defence and making them forced into errors. Sometimes doesn't find the final pass. He isn't shooting. He's not scoring. So, other than what I've just said, like, is that what he's meant to do? Because I don't know. I'm sure that there's others that could do that and free him up to do other stuff that he's better at. All in all, great day. Thanks to Philip at Sterling Technology for hosting us in the 1882 suite, which was a brilliant, 1881 suite, I beg your pardon, which was a brilliant experience. The food was superb. The service, Part and Lucy are doing an absolutely outstanding job. They are not paying me to say that, but I fundamentally enjoyed that up there. It was really good, and the food and hospitality and service was fantastic.
Nicely done. For me, yeah, I think I agree with you about the match. It doesn't matter how you win, you just got to win. And I think it was good to see an O's team battle on the pitch and I guess go into this game with a slightly different mentality in terms of be a bit more ugly, but be a bit more, I guess, robust in the performance, a little bit nastier, a bit more clever to get the win. Big save from so early on. Good finish from Morel. And yeah, like you, I think it's time to start Galbraith after this, thinking I can't see Richie changing it too much before Fleetwood, but if there was one change you had to make, you'd probably go Moncur out, Galbraith in. Quite insightful. So you've mentioned being quite close to Matt Taylor. We were about 3 rows behind Matt Taylor, obviously, although not behind Richie, much closer to Richie, and you could see his reactions to what was going on the pitch. Very clear that Idris does not listen to a word Wellens says, like at all.
Because he was calling him.
Richie Wellens must have spent at least 20 minutes of the first half calling for Iddy to get his attention, and Iddy just not listening to him one bit and winding up Wellens in the process. I also thought Matt Howard was waving to me for a lot of the time, but realised his dad was behind me and waving to his dad, which was slightly embarrassing, but there you go. But look, like I said, 3 points at that point, big 3 points, 7 from the last night at that point, and you're going, if you go to Fleetwood and win, you're looking at 10 points from the last 12, and you're starting to look up the table.
Momentum, yeah.
But it's a big opportunity there. Like you, massive thank you to Philip for the hospitality. Nice to meet a few faces at the club. And nice to meet Dave at Digger77. Pre-match came over and introduced himself. Big fan of the podcast. Dave, if you're listening, lovely to meet you, mate, and nice to see you. Also great to talk to Keaton Patel.
Amazing.
As well. Some great insight as well. He continues to give great insight on injuries around the club, and just like talking to him, you just think actually there's some great content there that
we will bring to you.
We will love to bring to you very soon, which we will absolutely do. So yeah, I guess let's crack on with the reaction on the back of this one.
Yeah, first up, Orient Meat Pie said, thought we dug in and showed real professionalism. Moment of class from Ruel, and it's nice to have another clean sheet.
Yeah, Statboy_Steven said the first few weeks it seemed they needed to adjust to the higher level and intensity, but the team have sort of landed on their feet now, and it shows.
Stephen LOFC said Beckles, Bryn and Cooper were immense. James also had a good game, and Drinnan did well when he came on. Suspect he might start ahead of Piggott next week.
Drinnan did very well, to be fair to him, when he came on. He
agree.
hassled their defence into mistakes. He just kept running at them, something that Piggott doesn't really do. Piggott kind of traps the ball and looks to bring Graham and Archibald. Where Drinnan gets it, he goes, right, I'm just going to run at you and see where we go. So yeah, decent shout that one. Stroud Greeno says a scrappy, unattractive game of football, but we won, so who cares? Not much quality to talk about over the whole 90 minutes, but I thought Cooper looked very solid at the back and comfortable on the ball. Drinnan did well when he came on. Like to see Galbraith start next game. Good point about Cooper. Various points where Cooper got it and was bringing it forward as opposed to looking for that long ball. Just bringing it forward, pushing us up the pitch. So good point there from
Stroud. Kind of Matt Baldry-esque. With a ball playing centre half, which is what he was brought in as. So yeah, he did really well. Painting Orient said the greatest tribute to both Solbryn and Jordan Graham is that we do not miss our summer outgoing whatsoever. They are certainly both above League One level, and by all accounts, Shrewsbury stepped up considerably compared to their recent form. The 3 points were hard earned. Great point.
Good points there. Dave Nelson, tight game and just about deserved the win. Drinnan and Galbraith did more in the last 20 minutes than Moncur and Piggott did all game, and surely have done enough to be starters.
Samuel LOFC 97 said different ways of winning. Couple of good saves from Bryn. When Drinnan came on, we played the spaces a lot better, using his pace to stretch their centre halves wide. Beckles, I thought, was solid and looked back to his best.
Good point about Beckles. I thought Beckles did look fairly solid in terms of organising the defence and kind of winning the headers and stuff. Obviously got caught out a bit for pace at certain points, but I thought Beckles actually done alright for the most part. Daniel_D44 said tough game between two fairly evenly matched teams. Thought our goal was a bit lucky, but Ruel took it very well. James, Idris and Ruel were excellent, but Piggott very poor. Their number 22 had him in his pocket. All of our 5 subs were absolutely superb and helped us see out the game. I must say, all the subs seemed to make a good impact wherever they came on.
Yeah. penultimate word on this one goes to O's fan Basing, who said really professional performance, very good defensively. Can see they have worked at the transition, all getting back very quickly. Cooper was an excellent addition, and he felt quite comfortable watching.
And the final word on Shrewsbury goes to Casey Adams at OFC, who says Bryn was class, could have easily been 3 or 4-1 down at half time. My man of the match, a proper battling performance. And again, for me, the main point, which I think he hit spot on, this is 5 weeks ago, we would have lost that game.
Possibly.
Come on, you O's. I think there's no doubt 5 weeks ago we wouldn't have seen that game out. So lots of tweets after Shrewsbury. If we haven't mentioned yours, you may have one coming up in the post-Fleetwood tweets. And like we say every week, those were all tweets that came into us at Orient Outlook on Twitter or X, or whatever we're calling it these days.
Yeah, I'm going to stick to Twitter.
Let's do it.
Prediction league then. Quite a few of you predicted 1-0, but special credit goes to Ian Hutchinson 08, the_none 06, and Waller Ad, who all predicted 1-0, but also correctly predicted the scorer, which was Ruel. So you get a bonus point. So that's 4 points for you, and we'll do a roundup a little bit later on.
We certainly will. So following Saturday, we knew we weren't doing a podcast on Sunday, but we still wanted to do a Hero of the Week poll. So we ran a snap poll for 24 hours, nominated the following players. So we nominated Sol Bryn, Idris El Mazouni, Jordan Graham, and Ross Atiriu. We had 296 in 24 hours, which isn't too bad. An overwhelming winner, I think it's fair to say, this one. 61% of the vote was
Sol Bryn. Goalkeepers don't usually win them.
I think because he made such a big save so early on and quite late on, I think he wins that. We also had a few comments on our Twitter poll saying we should have nominated Brandon Cooper. To be fair, he did play very well, but obviously you can only nominate 4. So Brandon missed out, but well done to young Mr. Bryn there.
Absolutely. So Sunday the 24th of September, then the O's ladies were in action. They were at home to Headstone Manor and found themselves 2-0 down at half-time. And despite a goal from Jordan Feldman in the 73rd minute, unfortunately they couldn't find an equaliser and ended up losing the game 2-1. So unlucky to the ladies.
Yeah, unlucky there. Monday the 25th of September, it was Yom Kippur. So for those who were fasting over the period, we hope it was a good one for all involved.
And a meaningful one for you. So let's move on to Tuesday the 26th. It was a happy birthday, 23rd birthday, not 22nd, I got that wrong, to Idris El Mazouni.
Happy birthday, Idris. Also on Tuesday, the Rainbows announced that Adam Thompson has become an ambassador for our official LGBTQ plus supporters group. So great work from Adam, great work from the club, and great work from everyone there. More on the Rainbows a bit later in this episode.
Yeah, nothing to report on the Wednesday, so let's move on to Thursday the 28th.
We are flying through this. On Thursday the 28th, been 2 birthdays in the O's camp. Happy birthday to Dan Happy, and also to Adam Thompson. Hope you gents had a lovely birthday.
Yeah, indeed. The club finally and officially announced that Daryl McMahon had returned to the club, joining the O's coaching staff as development and set piece coach. So welcome back, Daryl.
Yeah, I think it's pretty evident against Shrewsbury. I'm surprised we didn't have any tweets mentioning that. Obviously, Daryl was in the dugout, quite visibly in the dugout as well, shouting instructions there.
Yeah, I'm sure if Richie didn't want him to be doing what he was doing, I'm sure Richie would say, no, please, that's my space, I'll do that. Or Paul.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
He's given the freedom to give his input. He's an experienced manager, he's a former player, so he knows a bit about the game. So, yeah, there's a bit of negative backlash on him being joining, but I don't see it. If Richie feels that he can add value, he's not just been given him, he's obviously agreed to it, otherwise he wouldn't be standing there.
Yeah, absolutely. So that announcement was on Thursday. Friday the 29th of September, another quiet day at the club. No news to report.
We like that. So we move on to Saturday the 30th of September, the last day of the month, which was yesterday as we record today. The Young O's were in action. They were away at Northampton Town. Unfortunately, they ended up losing that game 3-0, so unlucky to the Young O's.
Yeah, unlucky indeed. But the main event on Saturday was Fleetwood Town away. So we ran our famous Twitter poll again. We had 327 votes before this one. You voted as follows, with 80% thinking the O's would lose, 23% thinking the game would end in a draw, and again, the majority, 69% of those votes thinking the O's would win this one. And again, as always, thank you for all of your votes in that Twitter poll.
So at 2 o'clock, the team was announced. Sol Bryn was in goal, James, Beckles and Cooper were at the back. Across the midfield, a combination of Graham, Elmirs, Pratley, Moncur and Archibald, with Satiriou and Pigott making up the final 11. Subs for this one was Howes, Happy, Hunt, Brown, Galbraith, Drinan and Ford.
So that meant Richie named an unchanged side in the league for the 4th game running. Not very often that we say that. For me, again, I think we covered it kind of in our views
Shrewsbury.
against Shrewsbury.
Agree.
No real surprises there. You can argue Galbraith for Moncur, possibly. Other than that, as expected. I mean, you're not really going to change a winning team, are you?
No,
however,
a settled team as well. Because it's important to build momentum. And you can't do that if you keep changing it all the time because, as I said earlier, the players then don't get to learn each other's game and positioning and, you know, what run they might make. If you sort of listen back to kind of the Lisby interview that we've done and any of the other players, that, you know, they knew what the other one was going to do and where they were going to be, for example. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. We had quite a few tweets come in. We'll read a few out now. Lewis Fear _ said, the form and results prove Wade doesn't need to change just yet. Options on the bench. Let's just get that win.
Yeah, PM at 31970 said Galbraith should be starting, and why Turns isn't on the bench rather than Hunt? I don't know. I think that comment got a bit of engagement with people saying, well, he's a fullback who can play on the right
or the left.
And the left. So people saying, well, where's Sweeney? Why isn't Sweeney over Hunt? But Hunt can play both. Although Sweeney, although not played both, probably can play both. But obviously Hunt more experienced, I guess, if you're looking at that. And Turns just has to bide his time. Because there's 4 centre backs, you're only starting with 2, while James is playing, I guess, as well as a centre back, and only having one on the bench means if you've got 4, if you do the maths and there's only 3 places, one ain't making the squad.
Yeah, nor is Dan Happy.
Well,
it's not starting.
Not starting.
I mean. Yeah, absolutely.
Billy Cowell, 21.
Yep.
Said Galbraith should be starting. What's happened to Sweeney? Arguably our best fullback. Yet can't get into the team.
Len Chin 1 said, bottom of the table, Fleetwood and a new manager could be a side ready to bounce back, so do not take it lightly. Inform O's need to be ready with a solid plan of attack and defence in the box. Miss chances to a minimum and clinical in the final third. Most players are now fit and up to speed.
Okay, so let's do it. The match kicked off with the O's looking to keep on building on their good run of recent form against the Fleetwood town side, looking for their first win of the season. Obviously Lee Johnson, who was Hibernian manager a couple of weeks ago, managing in the Europa League or whatever it was,
Scottish
conference maybe. Now in League One, there's the 2 teams met for the first time in 8 years.
The O's had a chance in the very first minute. Joe Pigott found space in the area. Unfortunately, his flick drifted just wide of the post.
Second minute, George Moncur broke with pace. He cut inside the area. His effort was blocked. The ball came to Saturiu, who fired the ball over the bar. It's not very often in the first 2 minutes we're talking about 2 Orient chances.
Yeah, so, and like Glenn Chin 1 said, be clinical in the final third, and we're just not. So it kind of tells a tale potentially of how our day's going to be. Although the cynic in you would probably believe that. 6 minutes on the clock, Tom James played a ball into Theo Archibald. He shimmied inside past his marker, but his effort went just wide of the far post.
8 minutes, Joe Pigott headed over from a Tom James corner. Now,
like 4 or 5
we weren't at the game, and
minutes.
we're obviously taking some of this from various clubs' Twitter accounts to go and gauge it. If these are correct, that's 4 goal scoring opportunities in the first 8 minutes of the game, where Pigott's headed over, so he's not hit the target. Theo's gone wide, not hit the target. Satiri's hit it over the bar, not been on target, and Pigott's flick-on's gone wide. So none of those 4 have made the keeper work. I think I know what these boys should be doing on Monday morning.
Yeah.
If you're forward, if you're Matt Harrold, right boys, get on the training ground, let's hit the target.
Yeah, target practice.
Absolutely.
Well, get those nets up where you've got like the thing where you hit the holes in front of the goal and just doing target practice. Yeah, anyway, we're not professional managers. But anyway, moving on, 14 minutes on the clock. Jordan Graham won the ball in the middle of the pitch and headed towards Sitorio, who found Idris El Mazouni. He had a strike just over the bar.
Hits the bloody target, lads. Come on, 19th minute, Theo Archibald had an effort from a tight angle. This time on target, Lynch held the ball.
Yeah, he did. And in the 27th minute, Tom James had a shot from outside the area. Lynch made a good save to palm the ball away. I thought that was a really good effort. Really good shot. Keeper did well to not put that back in the danger zone for us to get anything from it. So I thought that was a good bit of goalkeeping. Unfortunately for us.
Yeah, it would have been a nice reel to add to his many fantastic Orient goals. 29th minute. So first time in the match, Sol Bryn was called into action as he got down to get to a cross from Lawal, and a minute later, pressure started to grow as Fleetwood growing into the game. As Broom had a strike, ball came out to him. His shot was deflected wide by Brandon Cooper. Done really well to put his body in the way of the shot and deflect the ball away from the corner.
Yeah, no further talking points in the first half or any added time. The referee blew his whistle. Teams went in 0-0 at the break.
They did. So we had a few tweets at half time. We just mentioned this one from the Untold Game. So probably the most uninspiring half of football we've played since Wellens took over. Stevenage aside, as we never count Stevenage, crying out for Galbraith to make something happen.
Yeah, the second half started. No subs for the O's. In the 48th minute, it was a big chance for the host as Busun Lawal drove down the wing on the right and his cross found Vela unmarked at the back post. Thankfully, he shot wide.
Vela got that all wrong, thankfully, for us. Very close, not far away from goal. Ball coming to him at speed. Just hit his knee as opposed to hit his foot. Should have done much better there. Lucky to get away with that one. 52nd minute, and Omar Beckles picked up a booking.
Yeah, 53rd minute, a triple change for the O's. Drinnan, Galbraith and Brown replaced Piggott, Moncur and Pratley.
Triple sub in the 53rd minute. I mean, what
does that tell you?
That's quite a lot to do. And, I mean, these are the normal subs now. I noticed it against Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Piggott, I mean, 53 minutes. Piggott off, Moncur off, and Pratley off. So Pratley last week I understood because he just picked up a booking and then he made a challenge and then Richie was like, right, you've got to come off, mate, because if you do one other thing, you're going to get sent off.
Yeah.
This week, no booking from what I can see, but, Piggott got to be doing more than a no-shirt for me. Moncur, the same, and I think Pratley probably makes up for me. Pratley, obviously, 38 years old, playing League One on a wet pitch, difficult.
Yeah.
But people like Piggott and Moncur got to be doing more, I think, in my opinion. 56th minute though, Fleetwood opened the scoring. Jack Marriott got behind Omar Beckles, and on the end of Quiterna's cross, as he crossed in from the left, he got in at the near post. He beat Solbrin from close range to make it 1-0 to the host to get his first goal of the season, obviously.
Of course. Yeah, poor from Omar. I thought that Marriott had got the better of him. I thought it was just a yard off pace there, or he just misread it and was a split second in his decision making. Marriott's a good player. I think they paid good money for him as well. I think they paid like £250,000 or something for him, or a couple of $100,000, whatever it was. Yeah, I just thought it's a shame.
It's a bad goal to concede. I think also at the same point, Beckles, people will look at Beckles and go, what are you doing with Marriott? In the build-up, Archibald should stop Quiterna. He's not quite on it enough, and Quiterna leaves him for dead and then makes the space to get the cross in. So Beckles will take the brunt of it, but I think at the same time, Archibald has to be doing better as well in that one. But disappointing to go a goal down, and a few minutes later, Beckles picked up an injury, had to come off, and Dan Happy came on around the hour mark.
Yeah, 61 minutes then, Drinnan burst through the middle, laid the ball off to Ruel on the left, who was in a great position, but he ended up blazing over.
Ruel's got to be hitting the target from now. So, I mean, Drinnan does really well, wins the ball. His pace, he looks like he's picked up a bit of pace, Drinnan. Because I know he was very fast against Shrewsbury, and maybe because I've not seen him in a long time on the pitch potentially. Looks fast against Shrewsbury, and again in this piece of action on the highlights, not being there yesterday but watching it back, he's fast, he gets it and he's gone, creates the space. He could have taken a shot had he wanted to. I guess maybe you go, if he was a more selfish striker, if that was Sotiriou, he's looking up and shooting straight away. He doesn't, he looks to his left, looks to his right. Sotiriou's in a better position, plays it to Sotiriou. I don't know whether Sotiriou loses his footing or whatever, but not very good. Decent position, decent angle, doesn't hit the target again. Doesn't have to make the keeper work. Disappointing, that one. 62nd minute, a minute later, a double penalty appeal for the O's. Jordan Graham brought down not once but twice in a matter of seconds. So gets brought down, penalty appeals. They win the ball back and he just literally tackles their defender, wins it back, and then that same defender takes him out again. Both penalty appeals, referee says no. I've seen them similar incidents, shall we say, both given. I think Graham's unlucky there not to get at least one of those.
But then you've got to book Jordan then for simulation if that's not a foul.
It definitely wants simulation.
But then it's a foul then. It's one or the other.
Yeah, I agree.
Is it not? Is it not as clear cut as that? From a factual standpoint, that he's either been fouled and because he's gone down because he's either been fouled, or he's dived looking for a penalty.
Yeah.
One or the other. Now, obviously, I don't want my own player to be booked, right? Let's be clear on that. But if it's not a penalty, then it's a booking. So what?
Unless the referee thinks the contact is minimal and it doesn't constitute a foul.
Okay.
But it looked like there was contact on both. Again, it's not like you're getting VAR replays on the Orient highlights or anything like that. You're literally getting one angle. Again, seems similar, given, who knows, referee was like, no way.
Yeah.
Unlucky there, Jordan Graham.
Final change for the O's in the 63rd. Shaq Ford came on to replace Idris El Mazouni.
Now that's an interesting sub, that one, because
Very
that's
interesting.
That's not a like-for-like sub.
No, that's very different, because Prattley's gone off, right? So there's no one sitting back there. Idris has now gone off, so there's not that unit there anymore.
It's
so it opens us up.
more of the point of taking Idris off on
Which
the
doesn't
63rd
normally
minute.
happen.
It doesn't normally happen. So interesting there. We'll see what. Hopefully Idris hasn't picked up anything.
No,
again,
I
not
don't
being
think
there, I
so.
think it's just not playing too well at the moment. Idris, you're coming off and giving Shaq an opportunity to impress. Even Galbraith booked slightly after this point as he kicked the ball away following a foul going against the team.
Should never be doing that.
It wasn't even against him. He hadn't fouled the player. It was fouled separately.
Regardless.
They have the free kick. They just put the ball down and Galbraith just goes
Shouldn't
and
be
kicks it.
kicking the ball like that. It's a cheap, nasty yellow card that you shouldn't be getting. 69 minutes on the clock. Quiterna cut inside from a wide position and shaved the post with his effort.
Yeah, close there. So let's skip forward then to the 81st minute as Brandon Cooper went close for the Orient. His header at the back post was cleared off the line by Ben Hennihan. And at this point, you're just going, you might as well blow the full-time whistle, ref. we ain't scoring today.
Yeah. 88 minutes, Ruel picked up a booking.
And in 8 minutes of time, went up on the board. And in the 92nd minute, the O's had some pressure. Came to nothing. There was Theo Archibald putting it across.
Yeah.
That was cleared.
Yeah, Jordan Brown picked up a booking in the 94th minute.
I think frustration's starting to come out here in these late bookings.
Losing our
96th minute, Theo Archibald still trying to get the O's back in the game. His effort was to hit over for a corner.
Yeah, a minute later, Fleetwood hit us on the counter-attack from our own corner, and Shimanga's effort eventually was saved by Sol Bryn. I mean, look, he should have scored that. Thankfully, he didn't, because that would have made a bad day even worse for us. But thankfully, but he should have scored.
I think he would have done had the ball into him been better, because the ball was played like behind him, so he had to get it and in turn, and the shot wasn't great. But you look at their forward line, they got Marriott, Shimanga, who I think is a great player once he's fully fit, and they got Jaden Stockley, who I presume is injured. That's a good front three.
Yeah.
So I mean, they could come back. I don't expect Fleetwood to go down, actually, to be fair, given that front line. Anyway, one more piece of action to say about, not the best one. A minute later, Ethan Galbraith was given his marching orders as he was shown a yellow card for simulation, as he went down just outside the area looking for a foul. He got his second booking, which obviously equals a red. And then straight after that, the referee ran up to Johnston for our host, who got his second yellow card as he had fouled Galbraith earlier in the build-up to that. So both teams down to 10 men. And again, if it is simulation, it gets quite hard to tell from the angles that you get it from, because it's coming from the centre spot on the alternate side. If Galbraith's on a yellow and is taking a dive in front of the referee in the last minute, that's two absolutely needless bookings. Now, Galbraith so far has been fantastic. Yeah. We all want to see him in that starting lineup because he's been brilliant. Better than Moncur has so far, I think it's fair to say, but that's a disappointing red card.
100%. He should never have had two yellows in that game. No further action to talk about. The referee blew full-time whistle as the O's slipped to a 1-0 defeat, meaning that Fleetwood Town had their first league win in 161 days. Of course. Need a helping hand, guys? Sure. Play Orient. We'll give you.
I think Fleetwood will be fine, right? I think Lee Johnson's a very good manager. I think at League One level, he will get them out of where they are. I think they end up around mid-table. I don't think they'll get stuck there, especially with that forward line, like we spoke about. So Richie Wellens caught up with Dave Victor. We're going to play a little bit of his interview. It's quite an honest interview, actually, from Richie. I think you can hear the frustration in his voice as well. Like we said, we're going to play a little bit. Here's what Richie had to say to Dave.
Richie, thanks for joining us. Your thoughts on the performance?
Well, we've wasted 3 points. First half an hour, totally dominant. The atmosphere in here was really quiet. You know, they're obviously struggling. And we had an opportunity to be ruthless, and we should take the lead. We should be 1 or 2 up. And then fair play to them. They stuck in there and they turned the game around. We probably 10 minutes ago the first half. And then we started the second half really poorly. And then they got the crowd involved. And I still think it's a game we should have. We had a couple of chances against us at the end when it was a counter-attack, but you know, the amount of balls that we've had in our box and the amount of opportunities early on, one clear off the line. I think Monk should score early doors. I think he doesn't need to chop back in. The amount of good situations we got in first half, you got to score. And if you don't, you always run the risk of the opposition coming into it. And fair play to them. You know what they just done? They just run a little bit. They won second balls, they won a few duels, and that's probably won them the game.
Made a number of changes, both tactically as well as substitutes. First of all, in the first half, you switched Theo Archibald and Jordan Graham.
Well, we switched them from the last game from the start. So we've obviously watched a couple of oppositions, and there's also so many opportunities where, we didn't think their midfield players recovering to that space. So when they cut in, he could shoot. And Theo had the ball probably 6 or 7 occasions in the first half an hour where he's got one shot off, but probably could get more shots off. And the same with Jordan Graham. So, we think that tactical switch worked in terms of the positions he got into, but we just got to be better. We've got to take shots on. We turned too many shots down. There's one occasion where we're 1v1, just to the side of the edge of the box here, and within 2 seconds we're passing it back to the halfway line and they've got back into shape. So need to be more ruthless, need to attack quicker, make decisions quicker, and if we do that we probably win the game today.
So that was Richie Wellens talking to Dave Victor. Like we said, the whole interview is up on the club's YouTube channel. And a massive thank you to Dave, as always, for sending over the interview.
Yeah, so the league table, that defeat means that we are currently in 16th place in League One. We've now played 10 games of this season. We've won 3, drawn 2, lost 5. We've won a -6 goal difference, but we've picked up 11 points. We're just averaging over 1 point per game, 1.1 points per game, nearly a quarter of the way through the season.
Wow, craziness. All right, Bedler, give it to us, your views on Fleetwood away then.
Yeah, I mean, look, we should be beating teams like this. No winning 8, new manager in place, but we've played the same starting lineup 4 times in a row. So for me, that really should count for something. Poor defending has cost us. Not being clinical in either box has cost us. We've had multiple opportunities to put the game to bed, and we've just not been clinical enough. And I hate to pick on a particular player. It seems to be a reoccurring theme here with George Moncur, but I don't know how he gets in ahead of Ethan Galbraith. I mean, obviously with Galbraith now suspended, it's an easy decision. I can't remember if it's 1 or 2 games he gets suspended for. I think it's 1, but it's an easy decision for Richie on Tuesday. Very frustrating result considering the momentum that we'd built up. I mean, it's not the end of the world. I mean, I see people losing their marbles over this kind of stuff. It really isn't that bad. In isolation, it's terrible, but in the grand scheme of 10 games, we're not doing too badly. I mean, I've said it before. There will be games, I mean, we've said it earlier in this podcast, there'll be games that we should win and don't, and ones that we shouldn't win and do, and games that we should draw and probably end up winning or lose. But this is the step up. I mean, Stevenage are doing really, really well. Carlisle aren't doing so well, sorry. So it's a very mixed game. It's a very mixed league, and some of the stronger ones are already starting to do well at the top. But we're not in a terrible situation. I mean, some people make out like we're in the bottom 4 and doing a Cheltenham. But if I was a Cheltenham fan, I'd be really worried. But we're not, and we're doing very well at the moment.
All right, decent
Keep
views.
it short and sweet for you there this week. I don't see the point of ranting on, because we're not in a terrible situation, as I see it.
Good points. Good points, well made. I think for me, disappointing result, that one. Big chance lost. I think had we won that, you're probably looking at 12th, 13th place, maybe even above that. So disappointing that one. And I think, again, another win, it would have been more momentum going into quite a tough week now with a Tuesday and Saturday tough home fixture. And again, it's about being clinical in both boxes, right? So had we taken one of those early chances, had Beckles got to Marriott before he gets to the ball, had Archibald cut out the cross, we could be talking about a different outcome in that game. I think if you're Galbraith, you're kicking yourself tonight because you've missed an opportunity there. Because I think if you're Galbraith, you're starting on Tuesday if you aren't suspended. I think that can ruin him. I know you said Moncur's obvious to keep him in. I think you might see Sanders against his former club. Young, hungry player.
Yeah, true.
Seen it before.
Great point.
Seen it before. Be an interesting one. I think there's some big decisions now from Richie. He mentioned later in that interview about maybe wanting to make changes and not because the team are winning. I think he's got some big decisions to make. If Beckles isn't fit to play on Tuesday because he came off injured, do you start Turns? Or do you start Happy? Do you keep it with your 3 at the back like you've been playing, or with 2 wing backs? Or do you go to a solid 4 at the back based on how Lincoln play? Do you drop Piggott? Because let's be honest, Piggott, 1 goal in 10. Now, I don't want to pick on players. 1 goal in 10, is that a great return? Absolutely not. Do you think about starting Dryden? Do you think about putting Satuyu in where Piggott's playing and moving a few players around to accommodate that? Do you bring Jordan Brown in? there's a few things that he can be doing now with the squad fully fit. It'd be interesting to see the 11 that Richie picks. I don't think it will be an unchanged team.
Right.
At all.
Interesting.
It'd be, so time for reaction. Again, I think if we win with 2 home games coming up this week, if we take 6 points from 6, we're back in it almost. It looks very rosy with 2 home wins this week, if that's what we can go and do. So the motivation is there. Lincoln had a decent start. We'll talk about Lincoln, I guess, in a little bit. But big week for Richie, I think. Big week. If he gets his calls right, then momentum back on track. But 2 very hard home games coming up. But to look back on that one, shouldn't really be losing to Fleetwood in the form they've been in, and given the early chances it looks like we had. So disappointing. So those were our views. A lot of views came into us on Outlook Podcast Towers. Like we say every week, these are only views that came into us, and just because we read them doesn't mean we agree with them. A new Twitter handle, I think, on me, Nathan N. said, awful display. Had a good 25 minutes in the first half, but we were chasing shadows for 70 minutes. No intensity, no desire. Deserves to lose. It's not often we've said that about Richie Wellens' Leyton Orient team.
No, it's very few times, thankfully. Bogstolix1 said we could play until Tuesday and not score. Fleetwood down the bottom for a reason. You can see why. Bad day at the office. No more Pigott, please. He offers very little.
Paul_LT2P said, bad day at the office and move on. I knew when I heard they hadn't won a game this season what was going to come. But these are games we should be winning.
Yeah, Boats, he said, how typical Orient, gifting a team who haven't won all season an easy 3 points. We need a goal scorer and to manage our discipline. Otherwise, this season will be a struggle.
It's a good point about a discipline.
100%.
Obviously, Galbraith 2 bookings. Jordan Brown's picked up a 94th minute booking. Satu's picked up an 88th minute booking. Beckles picked one up at the start of the second half. Again, all these at some point are going to add up.
Against us,
count against
like
you.
they did last season.
Good points there. Ellen Isabella said, chalk that one off as frustrating. An unnecessary amount of cards onto Tuesday.
Richie J. Bourne said, take the chance in the first half and Fleetwood would have been beaten. Newish manager or not, they wouldn't have come back. Cost Orient the game by not being clinical in the first half an hour.
Dan Orton 2590. It's not often I say this about Orient under Wellens, but that was about as pathetic and as embarrassing as it gets. Stunk of complacency and the disgraceful discipline came to the surface again. Subs this week had no impact. Fleetwood wanted it more than us, and that is just unacceptable.
Paul Red Rum said the reason we lost is the dreadful formation that Richie keeps picking. Go back to a back 4 with Sweeney at left back, and we need Ford, Drinan or Ruel as our 9. Also, it's about time he knew his best midfield and to stick to it. Now, arguably, he's picked the same side for the last 4 games. I'm not quite sure where Paul's coming from there, because he's picked the side and tweaked the formation based on what he thinks is going to win that game.
He got 7 points from 9 on the back of it.
On the back of it before yesterday, sorry, yeah.
That's why I think this Tuesday becomes interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think he needs to look and make a few difficult decisions and maybe leave out some players who you might not expect him to leave out. Les LK52 says, I wasn't there, so I can't comment on the game. However, it's clear to all that lack of goals is the issue, and we're not shipping many. But if you don't score, you're not going to win. Pigott is struggling, and we may need to persevere with Ford or start Drinan rather than bringing him on for 30 minutes. So I know how much Richie rates Drinan. So he sees a lot of stuff. Obviously, we don't see as fans. We look at his goal tally, I guess, in the season and go, well, he hasn't scored many, so he's not good as a forward. But we all know Richie loves that forward who presses the defence and makes them make errors and gets in their faces. I think saying this, I was on Lincoln YouTube channel earlier, and I was like, Pigott was almost a marquee signing, but he's not. He doesn't strike me as a Richie Wellens signing. He's big as a target man. He gets every time Pigott gets the ball, from what I've seen, and I've not seen every 90 minutes of every game. Every time he gets the ball though, he gets it and holds it up, and then looks to pass it back. It's very different to what Charlie Kelman was doing last season, or what Ruel was doing when they played in that middle. They were getting it and looking to get it out wide very quickly. Pigott ain't doing that, so it seemed like it's not quite working.
Does that slow us down there? That obviously slows us down because we lose the momentum.
From what I've seen at points, and even when he is getting the ball, he's not really holding it up as well as what you'd expect him to do. So, I think the forward line's going to be an interesting one to see what happens this week. Les LK52 said, JME Ray 72 said, from 15 to 20 minutes in that was a performance as bad as Stevenage one. No discipline, no in-game ability to change once the momentum started slipping away.
Graham would have had loads of assists if we had a centre forward.
Paul R. Gregory said, Richie, you got it wrong today for me. An unchanged side is fine, but we hardly won a style last week, and making 5 subs says it all.
Mark Ross 636895909 said, I think the blame lies solely on the manager today. 3 subs on at 47 minutes at 0-0 and a goal within a few minutes. What was his half-time talk to the 3 of them? Go out and give me all you've got for 2 minutes? Pathetic. P.S. Tell Ford he's allowed to run.
Right, so Paul not happy and Mark not happy. Interesting. There's a few tweets criticising Richard, which we don't normally get. Miss Vigouroux says, typical Orient and very predictable, considering we started behaving as pretty content with ourselves, not clinical enough. Last week in the second half, no urgency throughout this match, despite our early momentum. Transition to League One is clearly not over yet, and this was a brutal reminder.
Matty LOFC Evans said, Tuesday night we need to come out and right some wrongs from today. For me, losing to Fleetwood is a proper low point in our season so far. They will be down the bottom all season and we need to do better, otherwise we will be amongst them.
Ed Turns, the famous Ed Turns, not the most knowledgeable being new to the club, but it seems like a lack of League One quality strikers or confidence might be the issue.
Fair observation.
Yeah.
R. Coral 1972 said, I don't have any confidence with Wellens at this level, and today was no exception. The first 10 minutes was okay. After that, the team look out of ideas and clueless. The discipline is shocking, and that stems from the manager.
Surprised.
I find that quite a hard tweet to kind of get on with because I don't agree with it at all.
If we were Cheltenham, right, so Cheltenham have played 10, 1-0, drawn 0, lost 10, goals 4, 0, I think we'll be sitting here going, alright, I agree with you, but in 16th place, bad performance yesterday, I don't think anyone's disputing that at all whatsoever. But I think that's a bit heavy-handed there.
Yeah.
I think that's a bit heavy-handed.
I agree.
However, we do, we
Rob, you're entitled to your opinion, and that's absolutely fine. We've got no problem. If we had a problem with it, we wouldn't be reading it out.
Yeah.
But I think that's a bit strong.
Right.
Maybe that's just someone's react. That's why the beauty of it, doing it straight after a match, is you get someone's immediate reaction versus their I've slept on it and thought about it reaction.
It's a very emotive game as football. Orient _Ed. I'm sure I saw Orient _Ed in the stands when Galbraith got sent off, like holding his arms like over his head. So if you did go, Ed, hope you had a good day. Ed said that was shocking. Aside from, I think that says for the first 20 minutes, we were outplayed by a poor Fleetwood team. We had no cohesion, like we had never played together. The ref was poor, but not an excuse. We were just that bad.
Yeah, if it wasn't Ed, there's a doppelganger. Conway _Nigel said, what is the point of Moncur? Can't last more than 60 minutes and then offers nothing. A big worry which has been around since the beginning of the season. Who is going to score some goals? Pickett? Drinnan? I think not.
Yeah, that's all O's fans. Again, great to meet you last week. It's not one of our best performances. Looked good for the first 10 minutes until Fleetwood woke up and realised that our possession posed a little threat. Second half was dire. Substituting our miss was baffling and left no creativity in midfield. Glad my journey home was just 30 minutes. Yeah, well done again winning the Prediction League last week. We sent our photos of Ray with his lovely shirt out last week. And again, you've got to be in it to win it. So if you don't do the Prediction League, get predicting because you could win a lovely Orient shirt next year.
Yeah, Tony Will 502-35741 said there was a time, win, lose or draw, after the game that Richie's interviews always filled me with confidence. He seems more and more downbeat as each game passes. Think he might be getting a reality check. Is this squad up to it?
Interesting point. Again, Sunshine LOFC with the penultimate tweet on this one said, as much as we were good in the first half, we were wasteful. Although we were bad in the second half, we weren't terrible, but we were also wasteful. But some people, though, proper overreacting.
Yeah, final word goes to Sharky War, who said, take every game as it comes and today is done now. On to Tuesday. Hopefully it's a better result, but remember, we are stepping up a division and it's not going to be easy. We get, fingers crossed, we get 3 points, and known from today, there's no easy games at this level.
So that was all the tweets that came into Orient Outlook podcast towers after the Fleetwood game. Let us know if you agree or disagree with any of those tweets that have been read out. You can tweet us at Orient Outlook. You can email us if you're not on Twitter at orientoutlook@outlook.com. We are on Instagram if you want to give us a follow or engage with us there at Orient_Outlook_podcast. And if you're on Facebook, you can also give the podcast a follow simply by searching for Orient Outlook Podcast.
Yes, the Prediction League. Well done to Paul Gregory and Billy Carroll 21, who both correctly predicted the score. So you guys both get 3 points, unfortunately. I mean that in the nicest possible way. That means the top of the Prediction League is as follows.
So we have 3 players currently on 10 points. So Charlie_Paul, Doe Lewis and Paul R. Gregory leading the way on 10 points, all closely followed on 7 points by 1965, 80, 1881, by Eastside Orient, by Grunt the Postie, by I Spurs So, and What I Add. So thanks to everyone for all their predictions. More points up for grabs this week to get predicted.
Yeah, absolutely. So that concludes our game against Fleetwood yesterday. So let's move on then to today, Sunday the 1st of October. A very happy first birthday to our friends at the Rainbows.
Yes, they've had a great day. They went and played a football match. They won it down at half time, but I don't know what their full-time score was, and they've been out today on the cake and celebrating their anniversary. So I hope everyone has had a great day who's involved with the Rainbows, and great work, and look forward to hearing more about the great work they've been doing. So as well as the Rainbows' first birthday, the ladies were in action today away at Biggleswade Town in the FA Cup. The first half finished goalless, but the O's took the lead in the 59th minute as our media dribbled past two defenders, struck from distance to make it 1-0, and then we wrapped up the game in the 90th minute as Chitate Samariro scored from distance to make it 2-0, which is how the game finished as the O's progressed into the next round.
Yes.
Well done, ladies. Hopefully they get a decent draw in the next round.
And also, Biggleswade Town are a league above as
are
well.
they?
So that is a big result, beating a team
Oh.
of a better standard. Yeah, I saw Olivia's tweet earlier. So, yeah, well done to the ladies, and well done on your pronunciation as well.
Thank you. You too, because there were some Fleetwood players who've done very well there, and some Fulham players. So, an hour, 5 minutes, 57 seconds. Let's wrap up this bad boy.
Glenn Wood is top of the Orient Outlook Podcast Fantasy Football League. He's got 491 points. He's ahead of Brendan Pitcher, who's in second place on 488 points. Steve has dropped like an absolute lead weight down to 340th out of a whopping 374 players. Would be nice to get that to 400 by the end of this season. So if you've got a mate who you do fantasy football with, DM us, we'll give you our code, get them to join our league. There's nearly 400 players in it. It's a pretty strong amount.
Pretty good, yeah.
I'm sure there's bigger leagues, but I'm also sure there's much smaller leagues. So yeah, decent that.
Really, really good. All right, so times for positives and negatives of the fortnight. I'll do positives. Then we've got 2 positives and 2 negatives. First positive, beating Shrewsbury last week, along with the clean sheet. So had this podcast been going out last week, but we'd all be pretty happy, be pretty upbeat podcast following that. And we also beat Fulham as well, second positive. So still can get out of the group, the EFL Trophy. We'll see. But 2 home wins over the last fortnight.
Yeah, absolutely. Negatives, performance and the loss at Fleetwood. And also another negative is our disciplinary record. Seems to me, I think we got something like 30 cards or something, 20 something cards in 10 games, averaging 2 or 3 a game, 2 to 2.5, 3 a game. It's an unnecessary thing that we have to worry about.
I think one more negative thing, just going through the Fleetwood game, is Beckles' injury. Hopefully it's not too bad. The Twitter account did say he looked to be in some discomfort, so hopefully it's nothing more than a pull or strain. Hopefully it's not too bad. We wish Omar all the best. So those are positives and negatives of the last fortnight. So moving on to hero of the week. So obviously, although this is a podcast based on the fortnight, we're going to cover the last week because we've done our own hero of the week the previous week.
Yeah.
So this week we didn't take this one to Twitter. We just decided unanimously amongst ourselves that heroes of the week are. It is the ladies team following their 2-0 win at Biggleswade. Well done to the ladies. Fantastic result there.
Indeed. Worthy winners this week. Next week's fixtures though, busy one coming up. We've got 2 home fixtures. We're playing Tuesday and Saturday. First up, as we mentioned, Tuesday the 3rd of October, we've got Lincoln City. They're currently 10th in League One, having beaten Cheltenham Town 2-0 at home on Saturday. Their last 5 games, they've won 2, drawn 2 and lost 1. And since the start of the millennium, so since 2000, we've played them 14 times. We've won 5 of those, we've drawn 7 and we've lost 2. So our record against them over the last 23 years is actually pretty good. I know it's going back a long way and lots have happened in that time, but we've got a pretty good record against them. Then on Saturday the 7th of October, we're welcoming troubled Reading to Brisbane Road. They're currently 21st in League One. They drew 0-0 at home to Burton Albion on Saturday. They've won 1, drawn 1 and lost 3 of their last 5. And we've only played them twice in the last 23 years. That was in 2000 and that was in the League Cup. We drew 1 and we lost 1. So obviously with them being a championship side for the vast majority of the last 20 odd years, we haven't played them. So it'd be the first time we've met them in 23 years.
Some great stats there from Mr. Levy. Reading have also got a habit of throwing tennis balls on the pitch in the 16th minute, so could be a delayed game potentially on Saturday, but fair play to them. They want their owner out. There's certain things you've got to do to do it. We've been there. We know that. We wish them all the best in their efforts to get their owner out. I'm sure there'll be plenty of songs about the EFL sung on Saturday as well, that I'm sure most Orient fans will be joining in with and singing as a collective. So if you're going, have a safe journey up to Brisbane Road, and if you see us, come and say hello to us on Tuesday or on Saturday. So don't forget then, as we round this one up, to get in touch with Carol Langley Florists. You can do that. Give them a call on 0208 529 4130, or you can contact them on social media, Carol Langley E4 or Essex Biz on Twitter, where you can find John and the team. Instagram at Carol Langley Florists, and on Facebook at Carol Langley Florists.
Indeed, so that is it. Thank you very much indeed for joining us for episode number 330. It's been 3 games over the last fortnight, 2 wins and a loss, but the Fleetwood game was one we should have won on paper. It just shows you how tricky this league can be, with our discipline still seeming to be an issue that really does need addressing. We've got 2 very difficult home fixtures coming up this week, so there's no time to dwell on this weekend's result, and we hope to be talking about 2 wins in our next episode this time next week.
Yeah, if you listen on iTunes then, please subscribe. You can give the podcast a 5-star rating. So if you're on iTunes, you can stop the podcast now, go to review the show, give us lovely 5 stars. That would be most appreciated. And if you're doing the same on Spotify, you can rate the show. Again, 5 stars would be lovely if you would like to do so. And you can even leave a comment on each episode, which would be nicely appreciated as well. Don't forget to add us to all of your favourites or favourites on your chosen podcast provider. So wherever you're listening, please add us to your favourites. That way you'll get all the episodes as soon as they are available. So also on all smart speakers, so Echoes, Alexas, Amazons, whatever you're doing, you can find us on wherever you are. We're also on YouTube. So if you want to have us on YouTube in the background, you can do so. We're also on FanHub. So listening to the podcast has never, ever been easier. And like we say every week, if you have an older relative, a loved one, an Orient chum, a mate who's a Lincoln fan, a mate who's a Reading fan, pass the pod, get them involved with the Orient. However you're passing it, just make sure you do so. That'd be lovely.
Absolutely right. We'll be back next week with episode number 331 with all the information, all the views that you could ever need. We look forward to hearing from you. And as always, please keep calm, stay safe, have a great week, and listen to the Orient Outlook podcast.
Up the O's.
You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You've got to pump